Hi, everybody.
Hello.
We're back
We're back.
after a week off.
Yeah,
We got to spend some time in Denver
we did.
with some great people.
Very
doing
great
a
people.
Business accelerator.
Very exciting.
And I'm sure there'll be more information to share about that when they're ready. But it was amazing time with Barb Patterson.
It was.
So
Awesome time.
more to come.
What are we going to talk about then?
What we talked about yesterday.
What did we talk about yesterday?
Let's see how your memory does. It was like 20 questions.
I don't know. What did we talk about yesterday?
We talked about what we're going to talk about on the vlog.
I know. What are we going to talk about?
I know. I'm trying to see if you remember.
I have no idea. I don't remember at all.
Are you going to ask for clues?
No. No, I have no idea.
Try.
I don't know. I don't know. Consciousness? Were we going to talk about that?
Consciousness. What do you want to say about consciousness?
Well, there's a lot to say about consciousness. But that's not what you wanted to talk about, evidently. What did you say yesterday?
We were talking about how important authenticity is in relationships.
Oh yes, authenticity in relationships,
Do you
very
remember
important.
that
I do
now?
remember that now, yes.
What do you remember?
I remember that it's very important to be authentic. And that there is a tendency for people once in relationship to confront a challenging situation or a series of challenging situations, get all insecure, and then not show up in their relationship in an authentic way. In an authentic way, should I say? And
What are you saying? That they show up not in an authentic way.
They're not showing up in an authentic way, and that can lead to problems because that can become a sort of unhealthy normal, to quote George Prensky, that people set into a pattern of interaction that the inauthenticity becomes invisible and can create discord. That's what we were talking about yesterday.
Seems like you remembered.
I remembered some of it, yeah.
So what I was saying is how it's oftentimes it's invisible to people. Like I know for myself in our relationship, I wouldn't consciously choose to not be authentic with you, but I wouldn't realize how I was censoring myself and not really being honest about things, and ultimately to both of our detriment, because then I would build up resentment towards it and it would come out eventually and not be good.
Yeah, and this actually came to light. It's all coming back to me now. We worked with a corporate client this week, and we were talking about how it's important to show up. In the service industry, it's important to show up with your client or your customer in an authentic way, and not to try and sort of put up, sort of manufacture an air of false bonhomie, because people see right through that, and it just doesn't really promote there's not really a great opportunity to build rapport out of that experience. So it made me wonder about how that shows up in relationship, and I think that's how it does show up in relationship. I think that people become insecure for whatever reason, and then they start to sort of manufacture a sort of, not an air of false bonhomie maybe, but they manufacture a way of, or like a defense system, if you like. They create a way to sort of negotiate their way through life without upsetting the other person. But it's not based in truth. It's not anchored in truth. It's based in this sense of insecurity. But people pick up on it, and it creates ill feeling.
Well, I think also what we were saying is that my not telling you what was really on my mind was my attempt to maintain the status quo and to not upset you and not have you lose your temper. But on some level, you picked up on that.
Yeah, and actually, to be honest, it's created a lot of tension. I just spent a lot of time worrying about, what is it that's on her mind? What's bugging her? And you would make out that everything's fine. Well, not that everything's fine, that there's nothing wrong, or say, yeah, there's nothing's going on, or wouldn't want to engage. And that used to drive me crazy. And I'm sure the same can be said for me. You know, if I get into a mood and I don't want to talk about it, I could sort of go through life pretending that everything's okay when evidently things are not. And that just creates tension. And I think that it's something, there's something in the tension that creates the conflict. Conflict can grow out of that tension.
Yeah, it gets people and then end up feeling like they're walking on eggshells.
Yeah, and I think it's amazing. I think that the truth be known, I think there are probably quite a few couples out there who live their whole life putting up this sort of defense system and the sort of accompanying language that goes with it that really is not based in truth, and live kind of separate lives.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's one way of navigating that.
Yeah.
It's not like there's a right way or a wrong way.
No, and it can actually, sometimes if you face the brutal truth, it can actually be, there's a certain amount of discomfort that comes with that, but it's a much more honest and more productive way of negotiating your way through a relationship, I would say.
Well, I think if intimacy is really what's wanted, then it is more productive.
Yeah.
Because I think that what I found is that as the resentment built between us, the pain and the suffering and the arguments were far worse than if I was just honest with you and said, hey, this isn't working for me in this way. We'd actually be able to find common ground. And by not sharing that, I wasn't seeing the resilience and the creative potential that's there. I was feeling kind of hopeless. And so it's like, what's the point in talking about this? Because there's not ever going to be any resolution. And so I was just really not trusting that creative potential that's inside of each one of us to be able to come up with new ideas, fresh thought, make changes, and find another way, find common ground.
Yeah, well said. I was also thinking about how, that there is a sort of north star of intimacy. And I think, in terms of our relationship, that's what, certainly I was always looking for. I imagine you were too. And then it's just, how do we get there? And then there can be an impatience about getting there. And I can actually remember getting triggered by, the scale of conflict that was in play, because it just felt like it was really getting in the way of us, securing this sense of intimacy and well-being. So there was a lot of pressure. I was putting a lot of pressure on myself and actually making the situation maybe worse by getting impatient about getting back to intimacy. Does that make sense?
That you were not happy because we weren't close.
Yes, I wasn't happy that we weren't close, and I was actually triggered that we weren't close, but I was actually feeding into the sense of discord.
You're not going to get close that way.
I know.
But it's like we all do that. We all get caught up, and it's painful when we get caught up in our thinking that's negative or angry or hurtful, and so we don't want to be there, and it looks like, oh, if I could just feel close, then we won't be there. Which is true, but we can't force that.
Yeah.
That gets back to the authenticity.
So what's the answer then? What you do in that situation?
What situation?
That when there's discord and we just want to get back to the intimacy, but we're all riled up.
You do your best that you can in the moment. I mean, I know that when I'm able to not take the bait, not take your bait, and just kind of let things settle down, things go less painfully for me anyway.
It's like with the dog and the cat. The dog's new instruction with the cat is, leave it, leave it.
You can probably hear us. We can get pinch collars for each other.
We can, but no.
Leave it.
To be honest, it's just really just be, I don't know, for me it's having the awareness that I will settle at some point, even though I might be a little bit riled up.
Yeah. And I always, we all do the best that we can. So if we get caught up in it and we get into it, it's like, it's not a big deal. We're resilient. We'll bounce back. Just keep moving forward. And that place of intimacy and love is our natural state. That's who we are at our core. So we're always going to come back to that. Even if it's fleeting, we're going to come back to it as a touch point. And so we get better and better at living in that place for longer periods of time. And staying, not jumping out of it as easily.
Yeah, there's really nothing more to be said, I think, on that.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.